Welcome to the 40 Side Podcast. Tonight we have a very special guest. I'm going to talk about something that, quite honestly, I know nothing about: blockchain. And we have with us Mr. Roberto Capodieci. I know I messed that up.
Cappuccino.
There we go. Thank you. Like I said, I knew there was no way I was going to get through that. But let me read just a little bit of a condensed bio, because your actual bio goes on and on and on. Your path to the space started long before most people even heard of what the word blockchain. Over the past decade, you've worked at the architectural level of decentralization technology, building platforms, leading teams, and helping companies understand how these systems function in the real world. You founded Blockchain Zoo and have been involved in designing decentralized systems across a number of industries. Simply, you were in this way before other people were. Is that a good thing to say?
Yeah, it's one of those cases where I've been lucky to be at the right place in the right moment, I'll say. I was there for other reason, but I always love telecommunication. As a little kid, I loved to go to the phone booth, put one coin in. Actually, in Italy, we had tokens, they're special kind of coins to make phone calls. Call a number in Japan, and somebody would answer the phone, and maybe 3 seconds later the line would drop because one coin wasn't enough. But the idea that from Italy I could get somebody in Japan to get up from their chair or their bed and go to the phone, like having this remote power, like telekinesis in order to get somebody to move on the other side of the planet was very exciting. So been the incipit that kept me on telecommunication networks, etc., etc.
Well, I want to get into that a little more, but to start with, just to be clear, I'm in California. You are
In
where?
Bali, yes,
In
I'm
Bali.
on the
So,
other side of the planet, almost literally.
and how did you get from Italy to Bali? I take it international travel was a thing for you.
Well, I love to travel. I love to discover new places, mostly understand the people. I'm not the kind of traveler that go to museums, possibly because I'm uneducated. I don't know how to. No, but because what I love the most is to understand how people live in different conditions, in different places, in different socials, and so traveling has been interesting. In Europe, I'm Italian, is a place where you can go from a country to another just taking a small walk from home because we have so much diversity in so little space. The United States has many states. They're for sure different. There is different food, different culture, but is pretty much homogeneous in a certain way. Europe is drastically different. Even just walking really 10 kilometers from a town to another, the language can be different. In Italy, we have 400 dialects. There are actual languages
Wow.
with different grammar, different name for things. My first wife was from a place 7 kilometers from mine. I could not understand her parents where we're talking the local dialect, so the name of things are different. So this is because we've been living in castles and we kept enemy castle to castle. So community grew very isolated one from the other historically. And you still feel this difference even a few centuries went by since the moment that that was no more the case. And so it triggers much more interest in discovering something different when you live in a place that offers so much diversity. So traveling is one way, but also, telecommunication is another way. Radio, I was with the CB, with the radio to talk, because it always bring me far away, but I'm very lazy without going physically there. So that was the thing. So
Yeah, life in Europe is very different than life in the States. I
it is
think just
absolutely.
just the whole mindset. And like you said, the United States were so big that we travel a lot. But for us, it's just from one state to another. From you, one state to another would be going through three different countries.
Right. It is. I mean, having spent 10 years in the United States, I love the idea. There is a very nice book besides John Kerouac on the road, but there is the Blue Streets. There is this guy that started traveling with a minivan on what were the blue street in the road atlas in the past were just no highways, just a smaller road, like no even interstates. And the beauty of discovering unique things in these places. And I did it. I traveled a lot around the United States because I love the idea to randomly finding myself in a place that was so strange, so unique. And I realized too much. later that I put my life at risk very much going some places, but I wouldn't know at the time, and it's been very exciting and very nice. So the beauty, I think the best money spent, nobody can steal from you travel that you spend the money for. But if you buy a car, they can steal the car. If you use the money to travel, and that's a guarantee that it remains with you forever.
And life without a little risk isn't really living. I
Well,
mean,
I don't want to judge. It is individual the choice. There is people that prefer to live in a way, prefer the for what is important to people is happy. If somebody's happy in a way. In Italy, as you were saying, very what do you say, campanilistic. You know, people live next to the door, the bell of the church, right? And I met people that 60, 70 years old never left the town. Not even the country, just they ne never even went to the nearby town, and they're pretty happy like that, like so good for them. Like I imagine for them it would be traumatic to find themselves in a place that is completely different, and for some other people it's exciting, it's a challenge, and like a discovery how to adapt, how to integrate. It's not easy. Like in Indonesia where I am now, it's 22 years that I live here, so it's not like one day. And there every day I'm getting surprised by the things I wouldn't expect, so it actually makes life more exciting.
well, and to go on to the topic of blockchain, I take it that
Sure.
that love of thrill and expanding and learning new things is kind of what led you in to this technology.
Absolutely, exactly, because I was saying telecommunication connection. So networking is something that I explored, and the peer-to-peer network, which is a word that people must have heard sometime. It is a very interesting kind, I call it of animal, because uh, a peer-to-peer network is a network where many computers connect to each other. They don't have to connect to all of the other, but just a few. And they are programmed to take the same decision. So in front of the same piece of information, they all take the same decision. So they remain compact as a group. They don't disagree. And if they disagree, the rules should be made so that they go back in agreement very fast. And this kind of system is a system that can be not shut down because you can imagine there can be 100, 1,000, 10,000 of these computers that keep talking. Even if 10 goes down, there is the other 99, 100 that are there keeping the network up. And so it gives the resilience of a network to remain always active. To me, this was very fascinating. Not only there is no central place that you can go to shut everything down, and this is the basic of blockchain, but it came out much before with some protocol was called BitTorrent. I don't know if you and people listening recall that in the past people were downloading movies and music illegally from the internet, and there were places like Emule or other websites like that.
I never did that. No,
Nobody ever did it,
no,
but
I would never have downloaded the.
nobody ever did it. But matter of fact, they were very busy those places, and and when it was a centralized server, correctly, law enforcement would go find the person, arrest the person, shut down the place. One of the co-founder of Facebook used to run one of those services. But as soon as the peer-to-peer network with the protocol of BitTorrent came up, the regulator had to change the law because it wasn't no more possible to identify one person because it's a network supported by hundreds of thousands of people all around the world. There should be like a coordinated exercise of law enforcement that at the same time, everywhere in the world shut down all single node, which is impossible. I mean, it would be a beautiful thing to achieve because it means there is cooperation and love between all the country, but that's not the case. So thinking that you can set up a system like this for many different kind of uses, that's what brought me to the technology of the peer-to-peer in terms of network. Years later, somebody used this technology mixed with others to launch what was the Bitcoin, right? There is the main, most important cryptocurrency that pretty much everybody in informed world had heard of, maybe without knowing the technology that runs underneath it. But the power of the Bitcoin compared to other electronic money that many people try to do online was that it was not related to one particular server, because until they were doing like this, regulator correctly was send law enforcement to shut down the server. But under a base that was decentralized, where there are hundreds of people that run their own computer at home, you can shut them 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 down, but the network is going to still running. Actually, more you try to shut it down, more people feel compelled to contribute to the network and keep it alive. And this gave the base to blockchain that was just a tool to provide this decentralized money, the word Bitcoin. So it wasn't a product that was built on its own. It was just one part of a technology to do something else. And he has later started taking his own life as an independent kind of technology, but never evolved to be programmed properly to do things that are not related to finance, to coins, to electric coins. And so I've been working on this to try to transform this technology on something that can be used to manage medical records, to manage a lot of things that are not just pay with cryptocurrency. Or actually, you should have a network that doesn't have cryptocurrency at all and still work and still very solid. And there are millions of use cases that are very important that can be done with this technology. And I think it's important to decentralize things because I'm talking for too long, but I'm gonna let you say
You're
something. But then,
good. No, I haven't interrupted because you keep hitting all the points. Let me
right?
back up just a little bit.
Sure
Understand that
thing.
most of our users don't understand the term,
Mm.
blockchain, and to them, it's synonymous with Bitcoin, which to most people are a scam. Most of us look at the pump and dump schemes and the famous people who make their Bitcoin and then dump it the next day and everyone loses their money. We think of blockchain as being interwoven with scam Bitcoins.
Yeah, there's the
And I
reputation
got to
that
tell you,
again.
from our perspective, what's the
Mhm.
difference between, a couple of months ago or a couple of years ago, buy NFTs, they're going to save the world, and you're like, what are you
Eh,
talking about? And that was buy Bitcoin and then everyone loses their money. What is blockchain and how is it different than a Bitcoin?
Okay, all right. Practically, that's a good point that you're making because uh, they are connected, but they are not the same thing. Okay,
Okay.
so you can have a blockchain without Bitcoin, but you cannot have Bitcoin without a blockchain. Okay,
Okay. Well, let's go
which
back.
which
What is blockchain? What does that
exactly.
mean?
So blockchain is the underlying layer that decentralize information. Okay. It's like a database that doesn't reside in a single computer. So it's the place that keep the truth alive. So what is written in the blockchain cannot be tampered, is a guarantee of the actual truth. So this is what is necessary to do many things. In a term of a financial service, like I send you Bitcoin, make sure that the signature, the request, the transfer to you is the actual owner of the account with the Bitcoin. So I cannot forge somebody else's signature, right? And then you check that I do have this Bitcoin to send to you, because if I don't have it, I should not be able to send it. Okay. So Bitcoin has a rule that is very basic. It's these two things.
And all I know about it is a bunch of kids were buying video cards and putting them in their house to run servers for that.
This is the way to guarantee the the solidity of this system of information. Okay, I don't like, and as I was saying before, Bitcoin as was born to just support this electronic money. Sorry, the blockchain for Bitcoin was just a fast solution to deliver something else. And the way that is done, I don't want to go technically down the rabbit hole because it's quite complex, but pretty much to create, it's called blockchain because it's many blocks of data, okay? So they're saved. In case of the Bitcoin, is every 10 minutes. Other blockchain can be every 15 seconds, every 30 seconds, whatever it is, so doesn't matter. Is like the heartbeat of the pulse of the blockchain. So when I say I send you one Bitcoin, I do my transaction like I would do in my own banking to do it the transaction to somebody else, and this transaction is saved in a block of data. So I need to wait in the queue that is the minute goes by, And when the 10 minutes are passed, the new block is created with my transaction inside. So you are guaranteed that this Bitcoin is with you and I cannot call it back, cancel my transaction. Okay. So the fact that people were bringing home a lot of graphic cards or what is called miners with all this technology is because how you chain, how you connect the block one with the other has different methods. In the terms of Bitcoin, you need to create what is mathematically in cryptography is called a hash, which is a simple function. Takes any content, can be nothing, my name, Roberto, a movie, an encyclopedia, doesn't really matter. You produce a string of a certain amount of digit. Even if it's empty or is like all the content of the word, is always a string of the amount of digits. Different based on the content. So you can change just a single bit and the string comes out completely different. This can be made more complex by saying if because it's binary, okay, 101001, etc., etc. So if I wanted that the string that comes out has to start with a 20 because is now you can now from the string extract the content. So you need to modify the block that you want to save in the blockchain, adding a nonce inside a little bit of dirt, and try to generate the hash. Does the hash start with 10 zeros? No. Okay, try again. And this is a repeating trial and error work. They consume a lot of compute. So that's why people, because the GPU is the graphic cards are much more powerful than the processor of the computer. So they were used to process much faster. Then they invented some chip that just do this. And pretty much the first person in all the world to find the correct hash with the correct amount of zeros at the beginning, which is called the difficulty of the blockchain, wins a certain amount of Bitcoin. Okay, at the beginning were 50 Bitcoin every 10 minutes is the new money circulation. Okay, and now they are 2.5. I think I don't know. It's a small amount. They go halving every certain amount of years, and this is a heavy computing, and there is no internal control in the blockchain to decide if something is being played on the calculation, meaning that with Bitcoin, the competition to find this new Bitcoin is very strong. But in a minor blockchain, if we make a blockchain, me and you with a few friends, we don't have so much competition. So, many people with many graphic cards to make a very high difficulty. So it's very easy for somebody to rebuild all the chain up to today, modifying transaction in the past block. So technically, the Bitcoin has a fallacy that is not safe, is not secure, but the cost for an attack is so elevated that there is not enough hardware in the world that you can buy to actually make the attack. Okay. And it will cost you a lot of money compared to the value that you would extract out of it. But if tomorrow Bitcoin tends to value close to zero, there will be very little people investing electricity and money to do this exercise. So it will be very easy to attack it. That's why we need a different kind of protocol compared to what is called proof of work. That is what Bitcoin does.
So blockchain is more about the decentralizing of information.
Correct.
And Bitcoin was just one application of that.
Absolutely. It's the tip of the iceberg. There are thousands of different applications that can and should be done. I
So
give
you
you
were
a,
talking you were talking
mm,
things like medical records. These are
mhm,
not things that people are storing in their garage on a bunch of
correct,
GPU
exactly.
cards.
That's why you cannot protect the information with the system because nobody has anything to gain out of it, right? So it doesn't make sense to do the work. I give you an example of how internet, when it first arrived decentralized. Think about the email, one of the oldest protocols inside the internet. Okay, everybody had their own mail server. So if you have an office, this office will have its own mail server. When you send an email to somebody in another office, the email goes from your computer to the mail server in your office, from the mail server of your office to the mail server of the other person's office, and then to their computer. So the privacy risk is only in the mail server in my office if the IT guy want to read my email, if you want, because the email protocol doesn't encrypt; it's all in clear. So our email travel completely clear. Or in the other side, in the other person office. But compared to the rest of the world, there was privacy because it was a federated network of mail server that you contact from yours only the mail server that you need to send the mail to. With the evolution and convenience, you have now who is Gmail from Google, Outlook online from Microsoft, Yahoo in some countries still living a life even though it's a forgotten company, and that's pretty much it. There are two Proton for the people that think they have a privacy, and something else. But there are, let's say, a handful of companies that manage all the email in the planet. They are all in clear, meaning that they have access to all the content of all the email. People think email is a private thing. In the email, you write very confidential thing. And so maybe it's more secure in certain aspect because in the past people can modify the content of the email if they hack inside the mail server there was no protected. So if somebody says send me the money at this bank account and people is expecting to make a payment or an invoice, I can hack inside the mail server, put my bank account instead of the one that you're thinking you're paying your supplier or something. You're sending the money to me. That was a classic hacker attack to steal money from company. But besides this, you had an elevated level of privacy, and now we lost it. And this goes for so many different kind of applications. Can you imagine documents that are managed in Google Docs, for example? So we put a trust in this company, and you live in the United States, and you're protected by the United States, but the rest of the planet is using a, a company from a country that is not their own, and so data are moved. That's why Europe they are so paranoid that they make all this legislation on privacy. Consider like the credit score, which is a basic things that in the United States people use, and is managed by three company. Also, their level of privacy to be a little bit understood. In Europe is illegal. You cannot work with this, and there are way around that people try to go and anyway manage a sort of credit risk, but it's like a gray area and a very dodgy kind of things because of the privacy protection. So it comes up to the moment that we don't consider the level of exposure that we put in the management of document. You can when I first
And
arrived in,
I want to kind of stick to blockchain. So how does this
yeah.
connect?
But blockchain as an instrument decentralized, you can have a mail server, email that is not in a physical one server somewhere, is encrypted and is supported by the centralized application.
But is it
And
it's not on my machines? It's
pieces,
decentralized across other people's machines. So how am
correct,
I fundamentally safer with that?
because you use encryption, quantum resistant encryption. Now that we have this risk of quantum computer breaking of the encryption, not all, there are encryption that are safe from quantum computers and you distribute and is repeated. It's not just a single piece somewhere somebody shut down their computer, you lost everything, right? But there are already several systems to save a file as much as you upload in Dropbox or in Google Docs. You can upload in a decentralized manner. So, and the money that you pay for your Dropbox, you actually pay for people that run their own computer at home to host pieces of your file that you can recover when you want. In this way, you're safe from the fact that somebody can come to the owner of the Dropbox and say, deliver me the information of this person or delete. There is a practical example. You remember that President Trump has been kicked out from Twitter a few years ago. And now people can agree or not agree with Trump. I know talking politics here, but it's quite weird that a president of a country is kicked out, is censored, if you want, from a platform like this. Dorsey, which was the owner of Twitter and the CEO, I doubt it was his own personal choice because it's not really a good choice to make it to kick out. You can be politically opposite to it, but you don't censor people in this way, right? Is being forced for sure, and is shown not because he said that, but because he started to create another platform where the content that is displayed is not saved in a central computer, but is decentralized. So I provide you the application to view it, but somebody can come to me and says, you need to delete this person account. I say, sorry, it's decentralized. I have no control over this thing, right? So in this way, you protect the whole supply chain, if you want, from the person creating the content to the person monetizing the content to the person displaying the content, and you bring the responsibility to the, because I'm not saying that this should allow criminal behavior, okay? Because it's criminal. So if somebody put the material that is illegal, should be persecuted, the police should go and arrest them. I'm not condoning illegal behavior. I'm just saying that you cannot be censored, you cannot be blocked, etc., etc. To give another example, and this is more practical, the SWIFT banking system, okay, which is a Belgian company, I think, it has a three data center hidden in the mountain around the world, etc., etc., and was essential for bank to communicate one of the other. It's just an instant messaging from for banks, pretty much, nothing particular. He has a set of protocols of forms, etc., etc. When they wanted to sanction Russia, they cut Russia from accessing SWIFT. So if somebody wanted to transfer money or to work business with Russia, it could not connect to their banks, and the banks would not be able to receive messages anymore. And now it is unilateral. Without the Russia said, yes, please cut me off. Okay. Now I'm not discussing if it was good or bad or whatever. I'm saying that somebody else took a decision that penalized a third party without a due process or whatever there could be, but even if there was, right? If the SWIFT system was decentralized, the other country can decide to block themselves from sending information to Russia. But you understand? So I
Hmm.
can take action on my side. So that's nobody stop me and says, no, any transaction they want to go to Russia, I don't accept it. I don't broadcast it. But you cannot cut off somebody from a network where there is other people that probably want to still do business with them. It doesn't, you know what I mean? So there cannot be a central person that decides for everybody. And this to me, as a life philosophy, is critical, is very, very important. Now we all use AI. AI, everybody does a massive use of AI for everything. And we don't realize the AI is to the level the email is now. Is in the hands of a few companies that can see transparently the most intimate things that everybody writes, because people that has hemorrhoids will write it to ChatGPT but will not talk with the doctor because they're shy. I mean, and this information is collected, is archived. So we have the essential need to decentralize AI. So you have a peer-to-peer network, which is stabilized by a matter of functioning like a blockchain, so it's secure. And on top of this, every node is a piece of the brain of a large AI that is decentralized. Then I can choose not to do some uses of AI, but I cannot, nobody can decide for me. That's what I'm trying to say.
So where's blockchain going to be in 10 years? What's going to change?
It depends if people raise the consciousness to understand the need of relying on this technology. Every good technology doesn't affect the user. So the user doesn't even know which technology is behind.
Right.
In a very funny story, there was this kid that connected on Facebook from his cell phone, and I was like, you have internet connection. So no. You're in Facebook. This is Facebook, is not internet. Because you didn't made a math that in order to function, Facebook needed an internet connection. So this is excellent in a certain way. It's like nobody need to know how an engine works to take a driver license if you want. In the past, it was essential to know. They were asking at the test because people would have issue with the car on the road, and you need to know how to save yourself. So that's the point. So in the moment that the decentralization wins is the moment where nobody has idea that they are using it, but at the same time, means is being widely adopted. And this is something that has to go bottom up. Few government will say, just do it on your own, and we don't want to be able to block. That's against any democracy, even, like, because the need to control is there for everybody.
From our perspective, from my perspective, the connection of blockchain and Bitcoin is really what I hear. In this conversation, it's very clear blockchain is a technology very different from Bitcoin. But
It's a use because
the
it's a
way
use
I
case.
hear it all the time is when it comes down to money, it comes down to Bitcoin, it comes down to invest savings and that sort of thing. And I think that's probably where some of the confusion comes from, at least users at my level.
I think I always say this: if blockchain was used not to make decentralized money, but was used to make a system for hairdressers, nobody would know blockchain today.
Right.
Okay, I make a citation from the documentary called Idiocracy, where the guy says, "Oh, I like money. I like money too. We should hang out together," right? Because this pretty much is what the world is about, right? Everybody loves money, and money is important, right? So that's what elevated blockchain to a level that everybody has an understanding of the effect that the Bitcoin. A lot of people became rich, and when there is new things, there is always scam. New kind of online, there is always somebody that scam. If I have to look at the money laundering, uh, financial trades, so import export of goods, international trade is the channel for the biggest amount of money laundering and is managed by banks. Bitcoin or crypto is small things, but somehow it has the biggest effect because it's still difficult, more complex to investigate, is because it's decentralized in its nature, so it's harder to find somebody guilty, et cetera, et cetera. It's international.
Well, we live in a world where anything that can get on the news gets your attention because they can sell ad space. So there's a lot of hype about things that aren't always true. And that word has become something that is an attention getter.
Yeah, but it could be a positive or negative attention. So I would say it's true that a lot of scam happen in the world of crypto, and I always tell this to my friends or family that they ask, "Can I what you suggest?" I say, "Look, you're entering a casino. Don't put one penny that you are not ready to lose." Okay, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not giving financial advice, but my concept is don't. You know, if somebody wants is more a matter of uh, experimenting, if you want, right? So don't is a risk, but even playing the stock market is the same risk. Nothing is predictable. So I believe that a lot of people laundered money through NFTs, for example. NFT was as much as they do with the art galleries and art, it's not that those are channels where the value of something is obtainable because there is no measure that you say is 3 meter of painting is worth like this, and NFT has no measure. So the fact that somebody spent $500,000 to buy a piece of information in a blockchain because that's what it is, to me is insane. It's crazy. I never so that but when you look behind you have to think, so you need to transfer money and justify it. I spent 2 minutes to create a monkey. I sell the monkey for half of a million. I double the money because now I have a clean half of a million. The other person has something that is worth half of a million, so I can resell it for a worth of money as well, and suddenly the money are there. And and I believe a huge chunk of big money around those things were this, that it was an opportunity, it was unregulated, and people jumped to it for this reason. Scammers, because the rest of the world thinks that these people is making money, they're jumping on it to, say, "Oh, look, you made half of a million now, give me the money," and I double
But
them.
at the end of the day, it wasn't the technology that was causing the problems. It was
No,
people,
absolutely not.
the scammers. It was
Those
people.
are
It
always
was
there.
people doing what people do when there's an opportunity to take advantage.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, I do fight scams online and I support people that is victim of scams a lot. There are terrible things happening just using Facebook. Beautiful girl contact you. They spend 3 months before pulling off the scam. In these 3 months, they become part of your social network, meaning they're connected with your family, your friend, everybody. Probably you're introducing them as an important person to you, and then you fall into the scam where this person is also, because what they do, they create website where it seems like you're making money, but you're not making money. This person suggests you to invest. They pass you the financial advisor, which is the same airy guy, very smooth, that is pretending to be the sexy girl as much as the financial investor. And then some money are missing. The girlfriend is lending 50,000 to you. Then suddenly they want taxes, so you go borrow money to pay these taxes to get this $1 million that never existed. And then the girlfriend start asking the money back. Not only to register in this fake website, they get your passport, your signature, so your identity is stolen and used to create other account. And yet there is no blockchain involved. Sometimes for the payment they use crypto, but this is just a mean. The scam is outside and is happening in big masses. They call it pig butchering because it's really like you don't throw anything away. So you have every corner of the crime that you can apply on these people.
So
There
where
are
should I look for
plenty.
where should I look for blockchain in my future? As we're getting ready to wrap this up, where should I be paying attention to it? What is it going to matter to me over the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I think blockchain enables several things. One is a cryptographic signature. I don't say digital signature because some people think that when they sign to pay with a credit card in the small display, it is the digital. No, cryptographic signature is a mathematical signature made with cryptography. They identify an identity in a very high level of quality. So that kind of signature cannot be tampered. Many countries are embedding in the ID cards of people or driver license, whatever it is. There is a chip, and when you want to sign something, you can do it remotely. I operate things in Italy from here in Indonesia with this cryptographic signature that is released by the Italian government, right? This is one of the key ingredients for blockchain. And embedding these things, so the fact that you have a signature that is approved by the government and recognized by the government, I can have a rental contract for a house on the blockchain. And if there is an issue with the person in the house, I can bring them to court because it's signed with the government release signature, right? So in the moment that these two words merge together, then we have a much higher possibility to bridge normal activity that we do in centralized things into the centralized one, which remain legally valid. So, and this is slowly happening because it's an essential thing. The deep fake that there are now, I could be me, it could be AI generating my avatar. You will never know if it's me or not, right? But if I could show a QR code every 10 seconds that is signed by me and sign the frame of the video, then everybody watching could verify that it's actually me and it's not fake, the fake about me because I use cryptography to certify. So this bridging that there is between the two world will allow to move slowly people toward the centralized system, and they can be created by people for the people because nobody can own a blockchain because somebody own a blockchain is centralized is finished, right? So it has to be run by the people, and slowly we're going to move in the direction. So attention will be to people like Elon Musk that is making Starlink, for example, which is a sort of network on its own that is federated, where if I connect from a Starlink to another in the future, now they go through bases that are on the ground because government want to censor and control, etc., etc. But soon you can connect directly from one to another, and you're free because the satellite create their own network. This is one decentralization that I love. If everybody can go access the internet this way, it's fantastic. Now our data are fully vetted. So yeah.
Well, it's been fascinating. Thank you very much. Is there anything we didn't cover tonight that we should have? Anything that I didn't
with,
ask?
so with another 25 hours of
Oh
podcast, we can
yeah.
cover that.
Well, I want to thank you very much for being with us. Thanks for
It's
taking
been an
time.
honor.
I know it's my evening, your day, so your day's just getting started. Mine's coming to an end.
Good night
It's
to you
been
then.
it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. This has
Likewise,
been
it's been
40 Sci. Thank you.